episode 189 of the Whatnauts review show, where every week we pick a story and we talk about it. This could be a movie, TV series, anime, comic book, audio drama, all sorts of entertainment. We watch it, read it, listen to it, and then we come back here and we discuss it. My name is Melissa Wilkinson, and I am joined, as always, by my co-captain, Kyle Springer.
Good morning. I was just mentioning it was snowing here. I'm kind of excited about it, especially with the Martin Luther King Day off of work tomorrow. I just get to relax and enjoy it. So
it is snow day. Snow is great to enjoy when you don't have anywhere to go.
Right. Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Thankfully, I have all the food that I need. I don't need to go or do anything. And yeah, it on one hand, it stinks that I won't get a snow day tomorrow, but I still get the day off for a holiday. So it's still nice regardless. How are you this weekend, though?
I've been good. We were supposed to have snow yesterday. And when I woke up, there was like an inch over stuff, like enough that it looked like, oh, I could very easily like get out. Like it'd take like 10 minutes, clean off my car, drive around, and it would be fine. But I'd already set my head into, no, you're going to be stuck inside all day. Just plan a bunch of cleaning activities. So I just did that. I overhauled my craft closet. It's entirely organized now. It's never been that.
Look at you go. Man,
I know where all of my stickers are. Every stamp, every decorative hole punch.
That's awesome. Okay, real quick business before we get on with the show. Have you seen the finale of Yellow Jackets yet? I watched
it on now?
Last night. It is on.
Okay. I knew it was. I didn't know if it was going to be on the app until like when it would air on Showtime on TV. So I thought it wouldn't be on until this evening. Oh,
I
okay.
Have the Hulu, you pay extra and get all the
that extra
Showtime
channel.
stuff. Yeah. So it's on that. So I would assume if it's on that, then it would be on the Showtime app.
Okay. Wow. I know that was already an option to me.
I watched it. It did not disappoint. So
that's good to hear.
I'm excited.
Okay.
Yep. That's all.
We're going to talk about that later. Yeah.
Yes. That's all I will say on that. It was good. But what are we here to talk about this week, Melissa?
We are talking about Jane Campion's 2021 film, The Power of the Dog, which I pitched to you last week. I was like, new year, new genre. Let's go into a genre we've never really tackled on the review show. And that was Western. And I threw this in among very traditional Westerns like Tombstone and True Grit. Yeah. Because I thought that's what this movie was. It's definitely Western in setting and in some like visual aesthetics of it, but no, I'd classify this as a thriller. This is a narratively not at all what I was expecting. Yeah.
I wouldn't classify this as a thriller at all. Most of the movie was not thrilling.
I wouldn't call it not a thriller, but like you spent most of the second half of the movie being very tense, like something bad is going to happen.
Yeah, there is a tense, like something bad is going to happen. But yeah, I would say I don't want to say what I would classify this as, because I think that spoils it kind of. But yeah, the film starts and it's kind of one thing and it's slow and it's just trodden along, and by the like second half of the film there is that tension that like you think something bad is gonna happen, but you don't realize what has happened until like the very end of the film. So I will say that I spent most of this film being bored, just like
really
I don't like this. Like this was really, really boring. And then you figure out what happens, and it's kind of a bait and switch. And like once I figured it out, I was just like, oh, I like this. This is kind of cool. Like this was interesting. Okay, impressive. Like
it is impressive.
Yeah.
Another reason
Yeah.
why I pitched you this movie is that you had brought this news blurb onto the Captain's Log a couple months ago saying this movie had been shown at some film festival and received a 4-minute standing ovation. And you're like, can you imagine a movie? Like, have you ever done clapping at the end of the movie for 4 minutes? And I'm like, I don't think I have.
Like I've seen people clap at the end of movies. I've been to like award shows / ceremony things where someone gets a standing ovation, right? But for four whole minutes, holy moly! And so yeah, I was kind of curious about this one of just like why did this one get a 4-minute standing ovation?
And like we didn't have details about it. We imagined that being shown at a film festival, maybe they're clapping not just for Benedict Cumberbatch in theory, but Benedict Cumberbatch live there in person, standing up and waving at you.
Maybe. Yeah, maybe. But now we know why they were clapping and stuff and why this is such a good movie. And yeah, still don't know if it really deserved a 4-minute one, in my opinion, but I don't know. It was still really good, though.
Maybe
I
it was
did
a chain.
end up walking away.
Maybe it was a chain. Like Benedict Cumberbatch stands up and you clap for him, and then Cody Smith-McPhee stands up and you clap for Kirsten Dunst, and you clap for Jesse Plemons. You go through the whole cast.
Yeah, who knows?
It leads up to 4 minutes.
But yeah, no, I walked away from this being very surprised. And yeah, just been like, wow, not what I was expecting at all. So good stuff.
Yeah, it's not what I expected, and not what I expected from beginning to end. I was surprised that you found this movie boring at parts. Like, it's certainly slow and
most of it
sparse. Yeah. There were a lot of parts at the beginning that had a level of absurdity to them where I was like, is this a comedy? I laughed a lot during the first half of the movie. I don't know if I was supposed to, but I did.
Yeah, like that's the thing. The beginning of especially the first half, feels like a very, very different movie. It feels like it's maybe gonna be one thing, and then no, it changes to something else, and then it's like, is this supposed to be a romance? Is this supposed to be is Benedict Cumberbatch supposed to learn how to be not an asshole by the end of this film? Like for most of the first half, I was just confused on what this film was trying to do or trying to be, or where it was going. And then, like we've mentioned now, the second half does start to have this tension. There's something happening, and it's like, I know something is happening, but I don't know what is happening. What is happening? And I'm just sitting there like, I need to figure this out, because I'm so confused from the first half that I feel like I maybe missed something, but I know I didn't. Like, I don't know. So, but it was pretty much like I think the movie is like 2 hours and 7 minutes. I think it was like an hour and 55 minutes in where I was like, oh, I get it now. and like immediately when they said what happened, I was like, yes. And like it all clicked. And it was just like, I get it. Like, that was, I'm still partly upset. Like, I know I'm describing all of this in like really vague terms. Like, I'm still partly upset that it took me that long to figure out what was happening.
Yeah.
But I'm impressed that they were able to do it so subtly that I didn't pick up on it. So bravo, but God, I wish I knew what was happening sooner. So, oh well. Stuff,
this movie is about, let's give you a plot synopsis. It's set in Montana in the 1920s, and we have these two brothers Yeah, you just came back from visiting your parents in Wyoming. Are these landforms that you recognize?
I mean, kind of. I think they shot most of this in New Zealand. So
that's what the director's from. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's not exactly, but it is that same type of stuff, right? The mountains are ginormous. There's especially in like late summer, things are just dry and dead, and like they've all just been scorched by the heat. But if you can get there like early summer, like late spring, early summer, it's beautiful. It's gorgeous. Yeah.
It was another reason why I did pitch this movie, is that I knew it was very pretty. And I'm like, when we're snowed into our houses at this time of year, let's go on a little movie vacation. Let's see some sights. See another part of the country, of the world. So this movie is about two brothers who run a ranch. One of them is he's been to college. He's smartly dressed. He's more of a people person, and the other one wears his chaps and spurs literally everywhere. Never takes them off. Never takes a bath. Is a real jerk to everybody. And they are riding through a town, and they stop at an inn run by this widowed woman and her teenage son. And the jerk brother is making fun of them, like just berating the both of them. And the nice brother goes in to apologize and ends up starting a relationship with this single mom and then marries her. And he goes to the jerk brother, like, they're coming to live with us, like here in our ranch manor. Like, you better get used to it. Yeah. And the movie is about this mother and this teenage son who is away at like a boarding school for part of the movie, and then he comes to stay here for the summer. It's just about the two of them dealing with this angry cowboy teasing them and intimidating them. And it's about the fear that they live under.
Yeah, it's an interesting movie for sure. I definitely recommend it. Like I said, I was kind of bored through most of it because I didn't know what it was trying to do or be. But I think it is worth sticking out and pushing through it, because I walked away being like, I really liked this. This was cool. So stick it out. It's worth it. I promise. It's a good one.
Nice.
It's a good one indeed. It is interesting seeing Benedict Cumberbatch play a cowboy. That's a weird one for me. Like, I mean, he's doing his American accent, right? He has all of that. It's like I don't picture him in that role. It is a weird thing.
Unexpected. He's an actor I enjoy, and I admire that he's always trying different things. You know, truly, we've never seen him be a cowboy before. Only like a sorcerer and a detective and a Grinch once.
It's not a bad performance at all. It's a great performance. I just, it was not a role I expected to see him in, but here he is doing his thing.
Yeah. Strong performances across the board. He was the only actor who I knew was in this. I was delighted to see Kirsten Dunst. I haven't seen her on screen in a long time. I'm sure she's been doing things. Eyes haven't come across them. And I think she's married to Jesse Plemons in real life. I watched an Architectural Digest tour of her home, and she kept mentioning him. So I think that's her husband.
And here's Jesse's room over here. It's like, wave to the camera, Jesse. Hello. Cool. Good stuff. Well, let's take a quick break for housekeeping. And then after that, we can dive into spoilers and stuff like that and start talking about the film more in depth. So we will be right back. We put a lot of hard work into the shows that we make, and yes, we make multiple different shows here at the Whatnauts, and we'd love it if you would check them all out. You can find out more information on our website at thewhatnauts.com, as well as your favorite podcasting platform of choice. When you type in the Whatnauts, all of our shows will pop up right there. Just don't forget to give us a nice rating and review if you like the shows. If you want to support what we do here at The Whatnauts, patreon.com/The Whatnauts is the best place to do that. You can support us for as little as $1 a month. You can get all kinds of exclusive content at the $3 tier. You can also get a shout out and thank you on all of our shows at the $5 tier. You can support us on Twitch by subscribing to our channel at twitch.tv/The Whatnauts, and we would love to have you all join us for our live streams and talk with us in the chat. And lastly, we have merch. If you want to grab yourself a shirt or a sweatshirt or a mug or something else, go to thewhatnauts.com/store to pick up some merch today. And we are back. A big shout out to our Patreon supporters, especially those at the $5 tier. We love you a lot. Thank you. Thank you to Sam, who has been supporting us for so long. We appreciate it. It means a lot. Cool things that we've been up to here at the Whatnauts this weekend. Just yesterday, we recorded our first normal crossplay episode. That was a lot of fun. We got to have a guest on the show. We invited Calvin Demas on with us. We got to talk about E3. We got to talk about some Halo stuff like that. It was a lot of fun. Go check that out if you're a video game fan. We also, on the Captain's Log, started to plan out some of the things that we are going to be doing for fun on that show. And not that we don't have fun the rest of the time, but we have a lot of fun, I promise.
This is going to be planned fun, not spontaneous fun. We need the structure. We need to know what episodes to look forward to.
Indeed. So down the road, get excited because we're going to do some astronaut food taste testing.
Yes.
We're going to do another fantasy draft on the best TV show opening credits of all time. Stuff like that. Of course, we'll still have our usual our trivia night and all sorts of stuff. There's going to be lots of fun things on the Captain's Log this year. I'm excited. And then last but not least, I already mentioned Yellow Jackets at the start of the show. The finale is out the day that we are recording this for season 1. And Melissa, Yo, and I are planning to record a season 1 spoiler cast for that show. So I am excited to dive into that, especially since we are both big fans of Lost.
Yes, that's why we're watching it in the first place.
Basically,
we love Lost and all Lost adjacent programming.
It's good. It's good. So be on the lookout for all of that stuff. But with that, let us get into spoilers. Here we go. Well, I kind of figured we have to spoil it like right away.
Yeah.
Like the thing to spoil, we have to spoil right away. This is a crime film?
Yeah, like, there is a crime.
There's a murder. They get away with murder.
Which is why I classified it as a thriller in my mind. It's to me, a thriller is a movie where somebody is murdered, and like you live under fear of the murder. It's not like a mystery film where somebody died at the beginning and then you figure it out.
Yeah, it's hard to classify, especially without spoiling it. Like if you were to start being like, this is a crime film. It's a Western movie that's a crime film. Then from the get-go, like it already colors your expectations of like, oh, this guy's an asshole. Like I wonder if they're gonna murder him. And then by the end of the film, like that's what happens. Benedict Cumberbatch gets murdered.
I spent like half the movie, like I think as soon as the boy, what's his name, Pete, like as soon as Pete comes to stay on the ranch and we learn that he is studying to become a doctor. I mean, I think he's still in the equivalent of high school, but like that's what he would like to do in his future. And he's got all these medical books. I'm like, oh, he's going to medically kill this man who's abusing him. Like, he's not just going to
Interesting.
shoot him or something. He's going to do something doctorly to get his way out of this problem.
God, see, that didn't even cross my mind. So here's the thing. So the start of this film, yes, starts out like a Western. You think like that's really what it's going to be. Then they get to that inn, and God, he's just such an asshole. Like this, I mean, this entire film, but that's really where you first start to see just how much of a jerk he is. Like, he's just mean. And it's strange because later on in the film there is some gay subtext in there that's happening that I at one point was like, wait, is that what this movie is? Like, is this going to be like a forbidden romance between this angry Benedict Cumberbatch cowboy character and this young kid who's like too young to be in a relationship with him and stuff like that? And but no, that's not it. But there's that's the threat. Scene.
That's the threat that the second half of the movie lives under. Like, there's a scene where Benedict Cumberbatch, I forget his name. It's like, some old man named like Jerry or something. What's anybody's name? I don't remember.
Phil Burbank.
Phil. And what's brother?
George.
Okay. What's Kirsten Dunst?
Rose. Gordon.
Beautiful. There is a turning point where Phil starts being nice to the boy, and you wonder for a second if he's like realized even if he doesn't like the boy, he needs the boy on his side. And for like one scene, you're like, maybe things are turning around, and then you're like, no, he wants to take that boy into the mountains and just like completely override him.
Yeah,
this isn't going to be good.
Yeah, he's kind of seeing them butting heads, so he's kind of like, yeah, if I can convert him to being a man, right, then maybe we won't butt heads. Like, maybe he'll understand how he should be is kind of what he's thinking. And yeah, but then, like I mentioned, it kind of changes to that, like, well, there's starting to be this like gay subtext here in there. He keeps talking about Bronco, whoever his name, Bronco John,
Henry.
Who Bronco Henry, and it's the boy that kind of picks up on it. That like, yeah, you're oddly talking about this guy a lot, especially for like he was a hero to you at a young age, but there's also a lot that you're not saying about him and stuff. And he picks up on this strangeness of like him talking about that. And I think that's how he starts to be like, well, what really happened when you were young? And then apparently we learned that he saved his life, but to save him, they had to cuddle together to save body heat out in the cold while they were this. And he, like, the kid very boldly is like, naked, like you did you? And it's not really answered. Like they kind of move on from that, but it's enough to be like, oh, okay, I think I understand what happened and your relationship with him, and now I kind of better understand what's going on between you two here. And yeah, but like when they're first at the inn, and Benedict Cumberbatch is looking at those paper flowers that the kid had made. He's fingering it, like it's very erotic in the way that he's fingering this. And when the kid mentions that he's the one that makes it, he stops, and it still reads as, here's a very masculine man fingering this paper flower, which flowers are often used to represent a vagina and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
But now knowing where this kind of went, it has a bit of a different meaning. Now that we know that, but it like to go from that to then, there's the gay subtext later on was surprising. And then, the next scene, it's like, surprise, we're married. And I was like, wait, what happened? Like, there was just so much whiplash in the scene where like, it's like, now we're married. Because it was like, I thought you guys just met.
They do get married very quickly. Yeah. I don't know. Maybe they've been through that before. And, we see George go and talk to Rose like, hey, sorry about my brother. I know he's a jerk. Do you want us to pay for dinner now? Do we pay in the morning when we leave the inn? And they just start talking. And I guess he's a lonely adult man. Maybe he's been meaning to like start a family. It's about time he has a wife to come live with him in this house that they've inherited from their parents. And I like that they call their parents the old man and the old lady. They don't call them mom and dad.
Yep.
And she's been widowed. Oh, it seems like sort of an old-fashioned marriage of convenience. Like, you're just like, it's practical that the two of us marry each other. We like each other enough. It would both be helpful if we were married to somebody, so we might as well marry each other.
Yeah.
And that does work out for them. Like, they've got... Yeah. There's frustrations with her moving into that ranch, having to deal with Phil alone when George has to, like, go into town for a week to do business. But the two of them seem like they are positive for each other. So I'm happy that was something that worked out in the end.
Right, yeah. And it was when they got married that my mind switched to, well, is this supposed to be a romance story? Like, is that what's gonna be happening here? Do we do they sure, they got married, but are they really in love yet? Like, is that what this is about? And then there's just this angry cowboy brother. Like, is he somehow gonna steal her from him? What's happening here? Like, I was just trying to figure out what this movie was doing. And none of it was like murder.
Right. When I read you the description off of Netflix last week, it was something like an angry ranch man has to deal with disliking his brother's new wife and teenage son who move into his ranch until the unthinkable happens. And I had been reading that synopsis as, okay, this guy, he's got this new sister-in-law, this new teenage nephew who comes in to live with him. He hates them. He doesn't want to deal with them. They don't want to deal with him. And then I was thinking the brother's going to die and he's going to have to step up and form this new family unit. I have to be here to take care of this woman and her son now that my brother has died. We're going to have to learn to get along with each other. I was expecting this to be like the movies Hallmark shows when it's not Christmas time. The rest of the year, heartwarming Hallmark movies for your grandma to watch. And it is not remotely that at all.
Yeah. Yeah, it's kind of, looking back, it's kind of a wild ride.
Mm-hmm.
Now that we've experienced it all. But the first half of this movie, because to me it felt so directionless. I was sitting there man, I'm already starting to formulate my thoughts of what I'm gonna talk about on the review show. Just I'm gonna have to talk for an hour about how this movie is directionless and purposeless and just why God,
it meanders.
These award shows where they just want movies where they're sipping around or where they're sitting around drinking tea talking about the meaning of life. Like, God, I hate movies like this. I don't like it. And then no, like that's not what it is at all.
It gave you a crime, Kyle, your favorite thing.
I know. It was like, good, I got what I wanted.
I want to talk about the parts towards the first half of the movie that made me laugh. Like after Phil is teasing Pete for making these like beautiful paper flowers that are like in vases on the table of like this inn where everybody comes and enjoys a meal. There's a shot where you see Pete like storm off upset, and then you see him outside sadly hula hooping.
I did think that scene was really weird.
And when Rose moves into the ranch, George buys her a piano because she's got like a little piano there in the inn that he sees her play. And he's like, oh, I want to foster this. She's got this hobby. I want to really indulge her in this hobby. I'm going to get her a baby grand piano. I have the money. I want to do this for my new wife. And she's getting back into playing the piano. And Benedict Cumberbatch, Phil's teasing her about this. And twice he refers derisively to the piano as a panano.
Yep.
Which
I did catch that. A panano.
I had to stop. I was laughing so hard. That's like the funniest thing I've heard in a movie in years. It's the word panano. Especially
She's
coming
playing
from
the
Jane
panano.
Especially coming from Jane Campion, the woman who directed the prestigious film The Piano. She's a lady who knows about pianos.
No, Melissa, she knows about pananos.
The panano. And just Phil's entire character.
Now, we need to see a spoof of the piano as the panano.
The panano. Phil's entire character, where he never takes off his chaps and his spurs. He wears them inside. He will wear them into bed. There's a scene where George is like, do you want to like take a bath inside the bathroom we have here in our manor, brother? And he's like, nah. And we see him later just go out to the creek and like take a mud bath, just slather himself in mud and roll around. Like he's so like he's such a gross, indignant man. He's so specific. He refuses to do things any other way. Like he's so outrageous it is almost comical that it's like, yes, here comes my cowboy mudman brother stomping into our like nice society dinner where the governor and his wife are coming over. Here he comes, chaps and spurs. He smells like mud.
Yep. Yeah. It's yeah, I don't know. Like another kind of funny moment to me is just the fact when Benedict Cumberbatch finds out that the kid can see the dog in the mountains.
Yeah.
Which did you pick up on the actual dog? Did you see the?
I think as
shadows?
soon as they said it, I could see it. Yeah.
Yeah. So when he finds out that the kid can see it, he's just shocked. He's just like, wait, what? You can see it? Like, you mean you can see it this whole time? Like, and it just his reaction to that, because like you think, yeah, again, just with not knowing where this movie was going, it was like, well, maybe they're gonna go out on some expedition to like find gold or something. I don't know, and like something happens to the brother while they're out there, like because obviously Benedict Cumberbatch's character can see something, right? He has this vision, he has this dream, it seems like, right? And everyone else is just like, well, I don't see it. That's just regular gosh darn mountains. I don't know. And he's just like, nah, if you don't see it, like you'll never see it. And then he meets this kid who can see it, and he's just like, huh? Like, what do you mean you can see it? You're not supposed to see it. Like, how?
I'm
Like,
supposed to teach. Yeah, like he needs the satisfaction and the power of teaching the kid to see the thing, and he's really knocked down to learn that the kid already sees it, and there's nothing for him to teach the kid in that regard.
Yeah, that or like it's the thing that he feels like makes him special, right? That he can say this and no one else can. And then here comes this kid that he despises and is just like, oh yeah, I've been looking at that the whole summer. He's just like, God damn it. So it's funny.
I don't know. Another interesting tonal moment for this movie is like the day Pete goes back. He goes to the ranch for the first time. This is where he's going to live. This is where his mother has moved, and he'll live here when he's not off at his boarding school. He has caught a rabbit, and he shows the rabbit to his mom, and she's like, "Oh, look at this rabbit! It's so soft," and she cuddles it. And then later, one of the maids around the house like goes and like gets some vegetables and is going to bring him up to the rabbit. And she goes up there, and Pete has like vivisected the rabbit like it's science class. Like he got the rabbit deliberately to cut open and study. Yes, exactly. She's like,
and she's in the room like, here, rabbit, where are you? And he's like huddled over his desk, like, don't come over here. He's not hungry. And she's like, why is he not hungry? He's just like, he doesn't want the carrot. And he's just dissected the whole thing.
He takes his doctorly aspirations very seriously. Pete is so smart. I really admire that this is a movie where as soon as you key into something like, oh no, Pete's in trouble, Pete also knows he's in trouble. Like he's as smart as you and smarter than you. And I think for as uneasy as this movie feels particularly in that second half, having a the would-be victim of the situation be so sharp and so aware of everything, it helps it go down easier. Like you're scared for Pete, but you also trust Pete.
Yeah, he's a good character. He's got a good head on his shoulders. But like like I said, the movie does a good job of distracting you from what is really happening, like because in the second half of the movie you start to see that his mom is falling back into alcohol, right? And I think that's what her previous husband had, or her father or something. I don't remember who, but
I don't know. Like I know her previous husband had killed himself, but I don't know under what circumstances. It may also have been due to drink. Somehow, I don't know. But like early in the movie, she does state like, oh no, I never touch a drop of the stuff. And then once she's there at the ranch and George has to leave to go into town on business for a week, and she's just there with Phil mocking her, she does turn to some drinks just to try and make herself feel better. And then he sees her doing that. He sees her like sneaking like bottles of stuff out, around the back of the house. And he like whistles at her. Like he makes sure she knows that he knows she has succumbed to this to try and cope with what he is doing to her.
Yeah, it's again, it's an asshole move by him, but she falls deeper and deeper into it very quickly, or in the span of the movie, it happens very quickly, and I think that was almost a good distraction for. Because that's happening at the same time that Benedict Cumberbatch's character is starting to be nice to the boy. And the boy at first is scared. He's not sure what's happening. But like we said, he's smart. He picks up on this stuff very fast. But the whole thing about Kirsten Dunst drinking so much to the point where she collapses, right, is a huge red herring, big distraction from everything else. And so I was like, well, maybe this is the thing. Like maybe she survives, but in going to get her help or something, like maybe something happens to the brother, and like I don't know, like I was more focused on that of like, how is this now going to create problems for all of the stuff? Like the kid is so small. He's so scrawny. Like there's a scene where
tall,
he's trying on
but
clothes. He's tall.
He's incredibly thin. And I think they tailor his clothes in a way to make it look like they've never seen a tailor. Like whoever did the costuming purposely made this kid look as lanky and awkward. Everything he wears is like too big for him. He's like a literal beanpole.
Yeah. And so because of that, and because of him, like for a short time in the film, being off at a boarding school, I kind of wrote him off the entire
too
film.
Skinny,
I was just like,
won't survive the film.
Yeah, right? Too skinny, don't need to pay attention. No, but like I just was like, all right, yeah, like he's a side character, but he's not one of the main ones. He's not really gonna have an impact on this film at the end of the day. It's about the brothers and this new wife and how they're trying to be a family, right? So yeah, the kid will be involved, but he's not going to be like, all right, well, here's my decision on what I think, right? Like, so yeah, I just wrote him off. Didn't really pay attention to him as much as I was like, okay, the wife's drinking problem, how is this going to affect that? What's going to happen here? Like I was trying to think about that stuff. And yeah, then like you see the kid just being his doctorly self, dissecting things, picking up flowers and studying them and drawing them, all this stuff. And then there's one scene where I thought was kind of strange, but not strange enough to really like pick up on it. But it's when he goes and he looks at one of the cattle that had died and was left behind. I, having seen him dissect the rabbit, knowing he wants to be a doctor, I just assumed this was his chance to study a cow, but not kill off of one that the ranch actually needed.
Or not like get involved with the ranch hands who are butchering a cow, like these men who, the other ranch hands certainly aren't as bad as Phil, but I can imagine Pete being fearful of them, like, oh, everybody here, every manly man here will tease me if I try and get into their business, with my little science journal.
Yeah. And man, there's that scene. He's like trying to go down the hill and it's real steep and the horse is slipping. And I was like, this is it. This is the moment. Something bad is going to happen to him. Everyone will have to go out there and try and rescue them. That's when the brother dies. And then Benedict Cumberbatch is going to have to take care of the wife and kids. And he's, that's it. I solved it. Nope. Nope, not what happened. The kid survives, and we learn that he ended up taking the hide off of the cow. I saw him. He had on gloves when he was doing it, so I knew like something was up, but I still didn't think murder, right? And I was like, I didn't put together that this particular cow had died of anthrax, and that's why, like, he has on all the gloves and stuff like that, and he's taking the hide to then make this rope. At like, God, it's so perfect. The murder is so perfectly planned. Like he sees an opportunity, and just, well, like you said, smart as a whip. Is like, I have an idea. Like, and this idea would work. Like, holy shit, if I go get hide from a cow and they don't know that I did this, but that cow died of anthrax, that hide will be infected with the anthrax. So when Benedict Cumberbatch, who is making me this rope, happens to run out of all these hides, I can give him the hide that I have, and he'll be using that, and he'll be dealing with all this anthrax without knowing it, and he'll die of anthrax poisoning.
Mm-hmm.
And no one will suspect me.
Right, exactly.
I'm just a young kid. I'm not a cowboy. I don't know this stuff. The only one that knew that I was the one that got the hide was the guy that's dead.
Yeah.
So it perfectly planned, and like once like the scene changes, and this is like when I figured it out was at the end of the movie, like an hour and 55 minutes in, the scene changes, and you see Benedict Cumberbatch dead, and he's in the coffin, all that stuff, and the people are talking of like, he's been doing this all his life. He would never handle a hide that had anthrax on it. And immediately when they said that, I was like, oh shit, the kid murdered him.
Yeah.
Oh God. I was like, that's wild. How did I not pick up on this? That this is what was going to happen. Oh my God. Like I was just like, the rug has been pulled out from under me. I love this. This is great. Wonderful stuff.
I'm happy that worked on you. I knew, I think from like an hour in, like Pete's gonna murder Phil. Like it's just a matter of how and when, but I think he's gonna do it. And I think I knew that, like at the end of the movie, there's a scene with the two of them alone in the barn while Phil is like finishing braiding that rope. And then I think there's a cut, and you see it's like the next morning, and you see Phil like stumbling around, like clearly something has happened to him. And they're like, yes, the boys poisoned him, but I couldn't figure out the exact method of poison because like I don't know what anthrax is. I didn't understand that. I only know
anthrax from the like post 9/11.
Right, like, exactly. That's a lot. It's like weird white powder that you find in an envelope. Like I didn't know it could get on a cow. I didn't understand. Like I just, as a modern suburbanite who's like maybe petted a cow at a petting zoo before, I didn't like logistically understand that. But that's only due to my personal background knowledge of my life, and not anything that I think the film has mishandled. If you were a ranch hand, I bet you would have known much more quickly exactly what was happening.
Probably, yeah. I don't know, but it worked on me. The distractions worked. But I like at the same time, I'm mad that I did not pick up on this. Like just like, God, like clue me in, please. Like I'm like upset that I did not figure it out.
What's funny is that Phil could have picked up on it too. Everything Pete uses to kill Phil is something Phil handed him. He's like, yeah, we would take the cows up in those mountains, and if a cow like falls from anthrax, I make sure to never touch it out of safety. Here I am braiding you the symbolic rope, and I'm going to make it out of hides. And your mom sold all of the hides to a local tradesman, and now I don't have anything left. And then Pete's like, I do have one hide set aside for you, Phil, that you haven't seen before that you could use. And Phil's just like, okay. Great. like he's so caught up in his his plan that he doesn't realize, like, no, Phil, this is your downfall. This is a trap.
Yeah, I think part of it is also, I mean, he's been wanting to teach the kid, right? So one part of it might be him being like, well, somehow the kid like skinned one himself, and like, hey, he's actually learning. Like something I taught him, that, or it could be that for some, like he knows the kid is odd. Like maybe the kid wanted it to draw it for one of his journals or his science. So like maybe it was one that he had before, and like stole and like kept, and like his mom didn't sell all of them, but there's just one left. Like I feel like there's enough in there for Benedict Cumberbatch to not pick up on it, especially with the way he views the kid, of just like you're not a man, you're not smart, you don't know how to survive, like all of that stuff. But the kid, like we said, actually is smart. Like he's real keen. He picks up on all of this stuff and is smarter than he lets on. So at the end, murder. Got away with murder.
Everything is falling right into his plans of what he wants to do, which is to replicate the situation he had with Bronco Henry, where he wants another younger man to teach the ways of manly manhood out in the West, where there's nobody out you but you and this other man and the night sky. Like, that's what he wants to do, and everything's playing right into that, and he doesn't question it. He doesn't question that the kid, like, saw what you were doing, does not want to be a part of this, doesn't want you to keep mocking his mom, and is like, I'm taking this man out. We're not living like this.
Absolutely. Yeah. That was wild.
There's so many things that this movie is playing with. We've got this drama, murder, thriller aspect. We've got the beautiful Western setting. We have the little bits at the beginning that are so heightened that they're almost funny. And then we've got the eroticism of the whole thing. Like as we've heard periodically that the brothers will mention Bronco Henry, who's like this older rancher who like showed them the ropes, trained them. Really, like, that's their entire legacy. Like, they inherited stuff from their parents, but they learned from Bronco Henry. And Phil in particular keeps mentioning him, like they are, all toasting after dinner at the end. And he's like, to Bronco Henry, a man who's already died. Like, this man lives so actively in his mind. And then as soon as I saw that he has like a shrine to Bronco Henry in the barn, I'm like, oh, he was literally in love with this man. They were lovers. That's the narrative here. And the saddle, like the second he puts his hand on it, is like the most erotically charged object in the film. Just him like not even
sitting on it, straddling it, and then the like I don't even know what you call it, but the real like phallic like hump thing that he's just kind of that thing.
And it's all like contextual. Like, nothing he's doing on the saddle is overtly, actively like sexual maneuvers. Like, he's not doing anything that the vice principal would tell you to stop doing if you were at a high school dance floor. Right. Yeah. He's not doing any bumping and grinding close dancing with the saddle. But he is like, you're right, he's straddling it when he takes a lot of care in cleaning it. And just the way it's filmed when he like strokes his hands across the saddle. Like, you understand who this man was and what he meant to him, and like one of the reasons why he's who he is. Like, he's I don't know, like it helps illustrate some of the background of why he is such a curmudgeon. It is a little tragic. You do feel a little sorry for him. Like, oh, there's this man who was your lover died. You don't have an outlet for that part of your life anymore. Maybe you've never found another man who you felt like you could be open and honest with yourself, like Bronco Henry. And the scenes where he goes out into his masturbation meadow, and he's the secret glen,
like his man cave out in the
and he pulls like Bronco Henry's embroidered like silk handkerchief like out of his pants and like rubs it over his body. It's beautifully shot, beautifully performed, like erotically charged, and so sad. Like, it's so beautiful and tragic, all these scenes. And
it's strange because in that scene he's not even, or at least of what we see in it, it is very erotic as he's like rubbing it on his skin and stuff like that. But he also, like, you see him stick it down into his pants, but he also like you never see any kind of like masturbating motion once it's down in
for
there.
So long.
You understand
he spends minutes just like rubbing stuff in other non-sexual but totally sexual ways.
Right, but when it's down in his pants, you don't see him like jacking it off or anything like that. It's just in there. It's just down there. He's just feeling how soft it is.
Yeah.
I guess. I don't know. It's strange that like that is what it's very feminine is what he's doing. It's a much more intimate and softer erotic session. I don't know what to call that.
No, I understand what you're talking about, like, and how it looks like the burlesque activities, like draping yourself with a silk scarf, and I get it.
Yeah. It's a really interesting contrast to the character who is like, I bathe in mud, I wear my spurs everywhere, I need to teach this kid to be a man. I'm herding cattle all over the mountains over there, and I play the piano and you know all that stuff. and then like he has alone time, he has some me time, and it's just like one of, if not the most feminine and erotic things in the film. It's interesting. Yeah.
I've never seen a movie before that had such a tactility to it. The sense that this movie is more keenly attuned to anything else is the sense of touch, which is unusual for a film. Like the visuals are beautiful in this movie. It's got the excellent music. Like there's other senses you could key into, but touch, I've never like watched a movie and felt like I could feel silk before.
That now that I think about it, this film definitely has a theme of touch and just physically putting your hands on something to feel the texture. Like, right, we have the flower at the start, we have him making the rope, we have that scarf, we have just the idea of the instruments, right? You need to touch those to make them work, like all of that stuff. When the brother starts the relationship with his soon-to-be wife, it starts with him touching her, like trying to comfort her by a hand on the shoulder. Like it's all that stuff. It's all just like how to that's interesting. Now that you mention it, I didn't think about that. Huh.
Yeah. Stylistically, I really dig this movie. I think it does take such unexpected twists and turns, where you don't know what is the ultimate journey of Phil. How are we supposed to feel about Phil? Of course, he's a jerk and we don't like him, but we learn about the backstory where he had this lover who he lost, and you start to feel sorry for him. And you wonder if that's, if he's going to learn to overcome that, and that will help him heal and help him be a kinder person. And Pete stumbles in on him having one of these sessions, out in the pond in the meadow, just because I think he's wandering around and he sees a little door, little hidden passageway that Phil had set up to get to his meadow where nobody else would go. Pete's just wandering around exploring the grounds, and he just wanders back there and sees Phil sort of bathing in the lake, and then Phil screams at him to leave. And then the next scene is when he's trying to be nicer to Pete, and you wonder if he's I can't let the boy tell anybody else what I was doing out there. The boy barely saw anything, but maybe he'll put it together. I can't let this, I'm just embarrassed. I have to keep this boy quiet. So if I get him on my side, if I treat him a little bit more nicely, maybe he'll help me keep the secret. For a scene, the movie lets you think that might be what's happening, until you're you want to put this on the boy. You want the boy to be the new you to your own Bronco Henry, and then it becomes very unsettling.
In his own weird way, it's kind of well, the kid found my secret place, right? He if he did that, he probably saw the magazines that I had back there, the like men's fitness magazines back there. But the like when Benedict Cumberbatch turned around to see him, the kid wasn't just like standing there staring at him or stuff like that. The kid was just trying to like continue on down the path.
Right.
Like, wasn't gonna say a thing. So on one hand, it seems unclear what he found to Benedict's perspective, but at the same time, it's like, well, if he didn't say anything, what is that? Like this is something that maybe normally someone would comment on back in what, like 1925? Like that'd be a big like that'd be like blackmail material back then. The kid didn't say anything. Interesting. So I wonder if that was the thing that like clued him in on like, I wonder if the kid is also gay. And
which is something that the movie
connect with him on that.
Yeah, which is something that the movie never quite answers, is what is Pete's actual sexuality. We see him looking at those nude male magazines, and he's just sort of like, interesting. We don't get a clear read on, and like, you know, as much as he's called like a sissy boy and teased, he's very, you can tell it upsets him, but he never like fights back against it. He never really defends himself. Like it's unclear his thoughts on this thing, if he's like, I am me and I like me, or like, no, don't call me a sissy, I don't like to be that. His own private life is a mystery.
Yeah, at the end of the film, you kind of realize you don't know much about him, but and enough that he is smart enough to murder this guy and get away with it.
Like, yeah, don't take me into the mountains and try and like groom me into your new companion, and stop yelling at my mom. I'd rather you just be dead.
Yeah. And they lived happily ever after.
Maybe, like, that is how the movie ends. Like, everyone's like, gee, it's kind of sad about Phil. How weird. But I don't, it doesn't seem to be a tremendous tragedy that Phil has died.
Yeah, it is the Wild West back then. Stuff like that, I'm sure, happened all the time, and was just like, well, life moves on. I guess that sucks, but oh well, you know. Oh, there you go. Good movie though. I do have to say one more thing. In my confusion at the start of the film, another stylistic thing that I thought for like maybe one scene it was gonna go down in this direction. It's when they get in. It's when they're in the town with the inn, and he gets to the like hotel, or I mean I guess he's in the inn, but he's just upstairs. He goes upstairs, and there's no one really up there, and it's just him in the dark, and it's like it's almost scary. And then like he thinks he hears something in one of the other rooms, which I guess was maybe his brother and the wife, and they just didn't want to say anything and stuff like that. But he hears something, and he's like poking his head out the door, being like, who's in here? Like, what's going on? Like, that was almost scary. And so like that was like, is this gonna be like a scarier movie? And they just didn't tell me. Like, is there some like rabid dog in here that's like haunting this town, or so, like is it actually a wolf? What's going on? Like,
haunted rabbit, both haunted and rabid. Both.
Yep. Who knows? 2 for 1 special. But like, yeah, just nope. The next day, and like it clears back up. It goes back to normal. That's when we find out the brother and Rose are getting married. And it's like, oh, okay. So what he probably heard was them in the room not wanting to say anything. And then, yeah, there is the like that next scene, that next night where like he's in his room and he can just hear them having sex, and he's just like, God, I hate this.
One more thing I want to say about how this movie is Western in setting, but not necessarily in genre. I was thinking about how it's such a common trope of, well, Think about a Western. It's like a bad man rolls into town, and like the townsman has to defend the town. But sometimes there are movies of like we have a hero who travels into a new town and gets to the new town. Like, gee, everyone's sure skittish around here, and somebody's like, "We've got a bad sheriff. We don't like him." And the hero's like, I will take down the bad sheriff. I will clean up this town.
Yeah.
And this is a movie where the hero being Pete, has to go to a place where there is a bad sheriff in town. It is that variety of a Western, I suppose. I travel in and it's like, I am cleaning up this place.
Absolutely.
There's not going to be like a gunfight at high noon. I'm just going to quietly poison him.
God, I would have loved to see him in like a little vest with a sheriff star after that. Be like, I've cleaned up this town. It wasn't big enough for me.
One ranch.
Yeah. It's like, I'm in charge here now. That would have been funny as he's sitting there hula hooping. I'm the sheriff now.
Now we can see him happily hula hoop, a contrast to the sad hula hooping at the beginning of the movie.
God, that was such a weird scene. And there's like the person walking up who just doesn't say anything in the background. It's just like, what's going on here?
It's also funny because you're like, I don't remember when the hula hoop was invented. Like, I think of the 1950s. I don't know how old hula hoop is, and I don't know what inventions made their way out to Montana in the 1920s. So I didn't even know a hula hoop was an option. I was surprised to see it at all.
It's probably those one of them newfangled hula hoops. That and the panano.
Panano. It's the funniest word.
God, good stuff. I ended up enjoying this one.
I'm glad you ended up enjoying it. It's an unsettling time. I don't know how quickly I'd want to watch it again, but this is a very impressive film. I do recommend it to other people to check out at least once.
Absolutely. Do you want to move on to recommendations?
Or bingo?
Yeah, we can do bingo as well.
We traditionally do bingo first, don't we?
I don't know. It doesn't matter. We can do either one. Okay, let's see. I am going to switch us over to bingo. All right, so I think I have it figured out from last week when I couldn't mark anything. So we actually have some catching up to do here.
Okay.
So we need to do our ones from The Matrix first, and we should mark all of those.
I've got all those marked on my personal copy.
Okay, can you let me know which ones those are?
I got Wilhelm Scream, Fight in the Rain, Breaks into Dance.
And all in that top row.
Yeah. Villain Monologue.
Villain Monologue, there it is. Okay.
An Actor from Lost.
Actor from Lost. Yep.
A mocap character.
Cap character. There we go.
Identity Crisis and Guy in the Chair.
Identity Crisis. Where is Identity Crisis? I see Guy in the Chair. Let me mark that one. And then... oh, here it is. Existential or Identity Crisis. I have it marked right there. Okay, you got a number of them. There you go.
That's what we get for watching 4 movies.
Right? There we go.
I'm going to be able to get a couple out of this movie, too.
Yeah. But we have an actor from Lost. We have Guy in the Chair. We have mocap character. Don't remember if there's a power outage. I don't see any of that. Vino. Did did you not have? How did we feel about training montage?
Oh, right. In Matrix. Huh.
I mean, it's like it's kind of cheating for a training montage where they just
it happens entirely within his head.
He's just like, yeah, he's like, I know kung fu, because it's more so that they test it, right? It's like, okay, now that you know it, show me. So I don't know.
I don't think I get that one for this. Yeah, it's the beginning of the year. Yeah.
Okay, let's see. Do character who connects to computers. We could argue that one, but that's not what I was thinking for character who connects to computers.
Yeah.
Let's see. Oh, we do have I want to know if you have this one and you didn't put it on there. You don't have it. Good. We're not so different, you and I, between Smith and Neo. We have that. Okay. No, they didn't buy flowers. Number as a clue, no. Pop idol poison, no. We'll get poison in a sec here, but
yes, poison.
Releasing an animal into the wild, no. Character gets hit through a building, kind of. I think I'll skip that one. I think that is it for Matrix stuff that I got. So you got more than me on Matrix. But here we go. So for bingo, for the power of the dog, yes, I definitely got poison.
Yeah,
that one's on there. Poison. Let's see. Anything.
So what I got, in addition to poison, I was able to knock off both Uncomfortable Dinner Party and Crashing a Fancy Party, when George was like, Phil, if you're not going to take a bath, don't come to dinner. And then Phil just wanders in anyway, all chaps and spurs and mud. Like, hey, I'm here.
There's
I get both of those.
Dinner Party. And you got, let's see, Crashing. Where is Crashing? There it is. Crashing a Fancy Party.
We might have had.
Almost have that row too.
Yeah, I don't specifically remember this, but we might have had a good golden hour scene in this movie. Do you recall specifically?
Not one that stood out as like, oh, this is golden hour.
Like, the whole movie is so beautiful and so rustic and warm.
Yeah. And it's all those like browns and yellows and gold. Like the whole thing is kind of in that. There wasn't a scene that stood out to me as that.
Yeah, I'll keep that one. I'm also, I won't cross that one off. I'm also not going to cross off, I know there's nudity here, but I can't see it. We do get very close to seeing Benedict Cumberbatch's dong in one scene, but
you see it flop in one scene. He rubs down and rubs up, and when he rubs up, it's like hello in scene and off. Yep.
Yeah, it's vaguely there. The spirit of that bingo square I put on for scenes where the movie is like a movie or show is showing off how well they have masked a nudity.
Right. Which not in
through the use of props or camera angles or what, where it's like, look how many different shots we can give you where you feel like you're supposed to see something, but no, you haven't. Look how clever we are in hiding this. You don't get to see Justin throw his dick. So like this doesn't quite fit that description.
I agree. I think that might be it. I mean, well, I how do you feel about adult who just doesn't understand?
No.
I feel like that is Benedict Cumberbatch's character summed up, especially with the kid.
No, because I feel like he understands. He just doesn't like it. I feel like adult doesn't understand is more of like an exasperation. Like, I wish I could connect with you. That's for like full Mitchells versus the Machines.
Okay.
I don't understand my child. I love that they have a hobby, but I don't get what the hobby is.
Okay. Well, there we go. I think that's about it then.
Yeah.
That's about it then. Okay. There we go. Well, let's save that. Hey, we made it work. Figured out how we could do the bingo, and things are all in different colors. So, Melissa, your square is all in yellow, mine's in red.
Okay.
All of that stuff, and our cameras are above the square that we are on. So there you go. That's how you guys can tell on the video version. If you guys are watching that one, you guys should be. It's on YouTube. Yeah, that's bingo. So now we can get into recommendations. Melissa, people liked this. What else might they like?
This is a genre space I don't play in often, but for similar movies of the stark West and of senses of dread for characters and their ill dealings, I would recommend No Country for Old Men and There Will Be Blood.
And there you go. Those are some good ones.
Both movies that are similarly very tense, but have these moments of, I recall them having moments of like some absurdity to them. Like, I didn't know that the whole "I drink your milkshake" scene, which is a preposterous statement to yell anyway, that milkshakes even enter into old man oil dealings. Like, that entire scene happens in a bowling alley, a private in-residence bowling alley. And the fact that that's the setting for this infamous scene I've heard about for 10 years really took me by surprise. And this movie reminded me of a movie that I have not seen. I watched like selections from this movie in a film class in college, and I've been meaning to get around to watch the whole thing because it is, I believe, so legendarily heralded as just a beautifully shot movie, like a true star of cinematography. And that is The Assassination of Jesse James by the coward Robert Ford.
Yes.
On my list. I want to watch it. I may get to it this year.
Watched it a long time ago. I don't remember a thing about it.
Well, he gets assassinated by that coward. You know, one thing
sure
that happens.
Does. I remember the title. Man. Okay, recommendations. So, yeah, I mean, you can go with more classic Westerns like the ones that Melissa had pitched last week, Tombstone, stuff like that, all those old Clint Eastwood movies, stuff like that. But it's also kind of a different, sure, it's a Western, but those are different than this. I think this is pretty unique, actually. So I would put on there also some like old samurai movies, like some Akira Kurosawa stuff. Especially like Seven Samurai was the influence for the Magnificent Seven. It's just the same story, but instead of samurai, it's cowboys. And yeah, like I feel like there's a lot of similarities between samurai movies and Western movies. You might have a wandering swordsman or a wandering cowboy or gunman or outlaw or something like that, and they come to a new town and the town needs their help or stuff like that. So yeah, go check out some Akira Kurosawa films, some samurai stuff. I know recently I watched Rashomon. I watched Yojimbo. These were on HBO Max, and so I was just like, you know what? Why not? I'm just
go for it.
Put something on, yeah. very interesting, can be a bit slow in how they tell their stories, but at the same time are good stories. And it is just in interesting watch if you have not dived into his filmography, stuff like that. Seven Samurai is actually real good. Like that movie is still fantastic. It's good.
Nice.
So yeah, good stuff there. But yeah, that's kind of it for recommendations for me. I'm not super familiar with the Western
we
genre.
shall learn.
Yeah. So there you go. But Melissa, that brings us to pitches for this next week. So I have a graphic novel, a movie, and a TV show mini series that's only 4 episodes. So it's all super short stuff. So I'll start with the graphic novel. The graphic novel is one that I've had in my Comixology. Like, I want to read this eventually for a long, long time. It's called Dark Knight, a true Batman story. This is written by Paul Dini. And this is a Batman story like no other. It is the harrowing and eloquent autobiographical tale of writer Paul Dini's courageous struggle to overcome a desperate situation. The Caped Crusader has been the all-abiding icon of justice and authority for generations, but in this surprising original graphic novel, we see Batman in a new light, as the savior who helps a discouraged man recover from a brutal attack that left him unable to face the world. In the 1990s, legendary writer Paul Dini had a flourishing career writing the hugely popular Batman the Animated Series and Tiny Toon Adventures. But walking home one night, he was jumped and viciously beaten within an inch of his life. His recovery process was arduous, hampered by the imagined antics of the villains he was writing for television, including the Joker, Harley Quinn, who he is the co-creator of, and the Penguin. But despite how bleak his circumstances were, or perhaps because of it, Dini always imagined the Batman at his side, chevying him along during his darkest moments. That is Dark Knight, a true Batman story. And that is available on comics. I thought it was on Comixology Unlimited. Actually, now that I'm looking on it, I don't know if it is. It used to be just a bit ago. I can double check on my phone because I have that here. Donde está el Dark Knight? Oh yeah, it looks like you can download it. I'm downloading it on my phone right now. So there you go. Yeah, that is available on Comixology Unlimited. That is pitch number 1. Pitch number 2 is the mini series I was talking about. This is available on HBO Max, entitled Landscapers. I saw advertisements for this, didn't really know what it was. The title didn't really catch me. I heard someone recommend it on a podcast I was listening to, and they were like, this is really good. It's bananas. Just how ridiculous this thing gets here. It's a 4-issue true crime mini series.
4 issues.
Series. 4 episodes.
4 issues of television.
Yep, it's a black comedy drama written by Ed Sinclair and directed by Will Sharp, revolving around the true story of the 1998 murders of Nottinghamshire residents William and Patricia Wycherley. I think that's how you say their name. It is the story of mild-mannered Susan and her husband and how they came to kill Susan's parents and bury them in the back garden of their Mansfield home in a crime that remained undiscovered for a decade.
Huh.
I watched the trailer for this last night. This looks fascinating. This looks interesting. It's not a documentary. Like it's actors portraying these characters and stuff like that. But it seems like it's filmed in just such a unique, creative way. I don't know if that was just the trailer making it seem like that, but I am now fascinated by what this potentially could be. So Landscapers on HBO Max, only 4 episodes. That's pitch number 2. And last but not least, I wanted to go with the 2012 film Hitchcock. This is a biographical.
You said it, and then I thought of Hancock. What's
Hancock,
Hitchcock about? Alfred Hitchcock, not about a Will Smith superhero.
It is about Alfred Hitchcock. It is the 2012 American biographical romantic drama film based on the 1990 nonfiction book Alfred Hitchcock and the Making of Psycho. It tells the story of the relationship between Alfred Hitchcock and his wife Alma Reville during the filming of Psycho in 1959. Blah 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 blah. Okay, that's all that stuff. Yeah, so this tells about how like his struggle to get Psycho made and into theaters and stuff. It stars Anthony Hopkins, stars Helen Mirren, and Scarlett Johansson in this, among other people. Looks like Toni Collette, Jessica Biel, James Darcy. Looks like it's a star-studded cast. I just, with Landscapers on the list, I was like, you know what? Let's put more, and I guess with Dark Knight, like let's put more like based on true stories.
Sure, yeah,
here.
It's an interesting angle.
Yeah. So that's pitch number 3, Hitchcock, which is also on HBO Max. But I should say now would be the perfect time to watch this one, because if I'm not mistaken, it is being taken off HBO Max at the end of the month. So there we go.
I gotta say, I turn to HBO Max a lot when I'm just looking for something to watch, because I think they've got the cleanest visual layout of any streaming service. And they put their leaving soon section very easy to find. I have to like hunt for it on other platforms. So when I just have a spare movie night, first place I go is HBO Max. What's leaving at the end of the month? That's how I curate things for me. It's just things I won't be able to watch soon.
Priorities, right? Yeah.
Right. Yeah. It's not what I want to watch. It's what will I be unable to watch without paying for in a couple weeks.
Yep.
It's Landscapers, Kyle. It's got to be Landscapers.
Landscapers. Yeah, I watched the trailer for this last night and was just like, oh, this looks awesome. This looks cool. I just like, it's so hard to describe. It seems like they're filming things in such a creative way. It almost looks theatrical. In the way they do some of this stuff, where they're like, one of them is in the interrogation room, and you know how they have the like double-sided mirror stuff that they're not like the characters can't see in, but they can, you know, all that stuff.
Yeah.
But it looked like in the trailer they were doing something where like the light would go off in the room there, and it just looks like a mirror, or then the light would come on and you would see the characters behind the mirror and they would talk and say something. Just like it looked like it had this really creative way of filming and shooting it. So I'm excited to dive into Landscapers.
I don't think I've seen a trailer, but I was aware of the premise of the show, and it stars, if I'm correct, Olivia Colman and David Thewlis.
I believe so, yes.
Both of them are actors I enjoy. Just if it's just those two and murder mystery, that's all you need to tell me.
Yeah.
But I love when film or TV looks like a stage production. I'm always excited for that. I'm excited to watch it this week.
That's not to say that it looks bad or it looks like, oh, it's all just filmed on a stage. Like, it looks fantastic. But it just looks like they're doing some really different with the way they film this. So, yeah, interesting stuff. I'm excited. Landscapers on HBO Max. Mm-hmm. 4 episodes, 4 issues.
4 issues of TV.
Yeah, indeed. Good stuff. Well, that's what we will be up to next week. Keep in mind the week after that, if I'm not mistaken, is our end of the month special on Knights of Sidonia, the manga, which you guys can get on Comixology Unlimited. We're going to be covering, eventually we will be covering all 12 volumes. I don't think we've decided yet if we're going to do the first 4 volumes for this month or the first 6.
I'd like to go for the first 6 because I'm starting to become worried that if I stretch it out longer, I run the risk of forgetting more details.
Gotcha.
It's like less effort for me to read an extra 2 volumes a month and be able to remember it better than read only 4 volumes a month. And then I have to go to Wikipedia like, what was that guy's name? What was happening?
Yeah, I think 6 volumes will work out perfectly. That means we can do it at the end of this month and then at the end of February and be done. Because when we read a manga week to week, we usually do 4 volumes, like 3, maybe 4 volumes. So yeah, to do 6 is just a little bit more, and then we can finish up the second half next month. So keep that in mind. Next week, Landscapers. It'll be good. It'll be good. Mm-hmm. Melissa, where can the people find you on the internet?
You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Wilkywit. That's WILKYWIT. And listen to my other podcast, Saturday Morning Obscurities, show where me and my brother Jams talk about weird old kids shows you feel like only you remember.
Go. You guys can find me at Yo Kyle Springer on Twitter. And if you guys want to stay up to date with all of the stuff that we do here at the Whatnauts, we are at the Whatnauts on Twitter. So go like, share, and subscribe. That would help us out a ton. Again, another plug for our TikTok. We are on TikTok now, so go check it out. Go follow us at the Whatnauts on TikTok as well. But yeah, I believe that about wraps us up for this week. This is number 189 of the Whatnauts review show. We're gonna have to start planning what we want to do for our 200th coming up in like a month and a half ish. So
oh man,
I think it will. So we do what, like 4 episodes? So like I guess in 2 months, almost 3 months, whatever. We'll figure it out. It's coming up soon.
First weekend of March. Heck.
Cool. There we go. Exciting stuff. Yeah, so we'll have to decide what we want to do for that coming up soon. But that's it. We will see you all next time. Bye, guys.
Bye.